Good morning. Live from the campus of the United States Sports Academy in Daphne, Alabama. This is Sports Talk. I'm Dr. Arthur Ogden, your moderator, and each week we engage a different topic in sport, since the United States Sports Academy is America's sports university. This morning, our guest and panel is Tonya Butler-Collins, who is a doctoral teaching assistant. Now, this past weekend, Tonya, who is also a veteran of the military, was selected to make a presentation at the second annual Women Veterans Reunion and Empowerment Conference at Kennesaw State University in Georgia. The presentation included information on nutrition, the power of movement, and women veterans in academia, specifically in sports science. Tonya's with us here, and she's going to discuss this a little bit with us, elucidate it, because it is important. It's a very important topic. A few points of background. Many of you may or may not be aware of the fact that women veterans face many challenges which impede their transitions into civilian life. Their return to civilian life after active duty can be much more stressful than we could ever have imagined, and treatment of this stress has been relegated to the back row, the back burner. Until recently, this whole process has confined women veterans to be treated rather dismissively when they came to the Veterans Administration or other governmental agencies charged with taking care of our veterans, and it was really minimized, and it's proving to be a much bigger problem than we thought. Many women veterans have pressed their concerns, and now they find that there are a few apathetic ears in the Congress and in the nation. As a matter of fact, at the recent symposium that Tonya went to, there was a representative from the state of Georgia. More needs to be done, and the organization which sponsored the symposium which she entered, which she was invited to deliver, was Women Veteran Social Justice. And so, without further ado, we'll just turn it over to Tonya. Tonya, first, give us a brief overview, if you would please, about what the specific overall convention was about.
Well, this was the second annual conference for women veterans in the state of Georgia, but it's opened up nationally to women veterans across the U.S. The founder of the Women Veterans Social Justice is Bridget McCoy, who I had the pleasure of meeting several years ago, doing an outreach program together. We had met there and started our journey together. She founded this organization with the vision to identify, connect, and empower women veterans to be a force out there in the world and to be the strong leaders and to help with advocating benefits for women veterans, showing programs, and just a way for us to network together. So this conference really was about bringing women veterans together to do that very thing.
What was the attendance like? What kind of, can you give us some kind of numbers?
I believe the attendance was around 200.
That's good.
So I don't have exact numbers on the attendance, but I believe it was right around 200. It was hosted by Kennesaw State University, which is a beautiful facility, and the amenities were fantastic. We had many breakout sessions so that we had individual learning programs as well as collectively we looked at some of the progress that is being made in this area to help support female veterans with benefits, with the support that they need.
And you also mentioned that there was someone from Congress who attended.
Well, Johnny Isaacson had two representatives there. We also had the Secretary of Policies from the VA, and there were a lot of very important people and a lot of very high-ranking women veterans there. We had majors and colonels and retired military. It was great to see that kind of leadership. We had a couple generals there.
Good. During this convention, was any mention made of some of the past and probably still current inefficiencies of the VA that caused the person who was in charge to be removed?
We didn't talk about any of that specifically. What we talk about really is supporting each other and how can we increase the availability of benefits, awareness of things that have happened to women veterans, but it's really about supporting and being that voice that needs to be heard so that these things are changing and that we are being recognized for serving our country the same as our male counterparts, but also making sure that we are being treated equally within our medical benefits and that we're getting the services that we need.
And you mentioned that for the first time, the VA provided you with a specialist doctor, which you think is unique and important for women?
Yes, one of the things that we talked about there, we had a wonderful men's panel and we had representatives that were talking about the changes that they were doing for women veterans, and one of them working within the system of the Veterans Administration was supporting a movement and policy changes to make sure that every female veteran's primary care doctor was a gynecologist, which has not happened before. And so this is an important move and important for our female veterans to have the health care that they need.
That makes good sense. For those of you who don't know, Tonya also does tremendous work in our lab. We're very, very pleased to have her here, but she also has an expertise in nutrition. And one of the topics she presented was nutrition and movement. And Tonya, tell us a little bit about all of your presentations at the convention.
Well, I taught a couple breakout sessions. One of them was on nutrition and the power of movement. I've been teaching nutrition for a lot of years, and I think that part of our problem as a nation is that we have too much information and we just don't know what to do with it. So my approach has been a little bit different over the last few years, and I really wanted to make it useful information. And this was tying into our health triad where we were talking about sleep problems and sleep deprivation. So my talk started with different foods that help to stimulate sleep. And then I went into a question and answer where I think it's easier to help people find the answers to the questions that are impeding their weight loss or about taking control of their own life. So we opened it up and we had fun with it. We kept it simple, we kept it brief, and we kept it real. And then the best part is we moved into the music and the movement part of it. Again, I think part of the problem that we have as a nation is that we think that we have to be confined to certain spaces or certain rules or guidelines to make anything happen. And so we kind of threw out all the walls, all the rules, and all the guidelines. And we just had fun. I cranked up the music and I got them out of their seats and made them start dancing. Because we know that we can relate to music, that it changes our mind, our thought process, our moods, and it is a form of exercise.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So
the nutrition you talked about to help sleep, I know that everyone will know this. If you eat turkey at Thanksgiving, whatever's in turkey puts everybody to sleep. But aside from that, what specific diets did you recommend, or was it just a rather broad brushstroke?
I never recommend diets anymore.
No, not by diet, I mean food prescription.
Right. When we look at foods, and I don't prescribe food in prescriptions anymore, what I do is I teach people the basics about their food, and then I let them make good choices. We talk about just eliminating the junk. We talk about if there's more than 4 ingredients on the label, it is probably not real food. And so to start with real food, and if we can just look at taking our time and looking at food as being fuel and as a resource for us to do the things that we want to do every day and to have a healthy relationship with our food and enjoy it rather than thinking it is the enemy and it is the cause of. Stick with real food and make it simple.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful recommendation. I think you probably didn't talk to my wife because she's getting on me about when I get the junk food for the kids. But I am good at making chocolate chip cookies, if that counts. One other important point that needs to be made, I'm going to give this back to Tonya just a second. There are a lot of women veterans who want to find a place in academia. And specifically because the United States Sports Academy is the sports discipline capital, shall we say, of academia. She has done a number of things to promote more women in the field of sport science and academia. Would you comment on that, please?
Well, one of the other breakout sessions that I spoke on was women in academia. One of the unique traits that women veterans have is that we are all trained to be leaders. And we are trained to take charge and have confidence and be secure in what we do. Also, a lot of the reasons that people go into the military is for the opportunity to have free college. It was my driving force to go into the military besides my civic duty to this country. I went to school on the GI Bill. I first went through TAP, then I used the GI Bill, and then voc rehab, and then scholarships. I moved my way up through academia, but I'm trying to help other women find their roles in academia, especially in sports sciences, because this is a field that is really pretty dominated by men, but there is a place for us, and especially working in adaptive sports. I want to show that other women that you do have an opportunity to be great leaders. There's a need for you in these roles and in academia, and you can encourage and work in something that is passionate to you as well as have a thriving career.
Points well made. In summation, I'm gathering that what we need to do is to maybe make the right connections with some of the women veterans who might want to come to the academy.
Yes, hire more women veterans. They're great students, they're great leaders, they'll get the job done. They definitely will tell you how they feel about doing things, and you won't ever have to worry about the job being done right the first time.
Well, it's most responsible, and once again, congratulations on having been selected to make this presentation.
Thank you. It's my honor.
The academy is quite proud of you. We also thank you for your service to the country. And any concluding comments you'd like to make?
No, it was a great opportunity. Thank you.
And we want to thank Jack Kerwin and his communications department again for producing this. And we want to thank the Board of Trustees and the administration for supporting this. And those of you who've been sending in the emails, making suggestions, we do pay close attention to them, and thank you very, very much. So, from the United States Sports Academy in Daphne, Alabama, this is Dr. Arthur Ogden, wishing you the best in sport.